Hey guys, it's Tyken here. I'm back with another video for you, so let's dive right in. Oh, and don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment. Let me know which manhwa you want to see next. Let's go!
At the Superpower Academy, a place where young people awaken incredible abilities, a new year of testing was about to begin. But for Ningfeng, the day started like any other, being bothered by bullies who had nothing better to do. He, however, was more concerned with his game. With such a big lead, he boasted that it was impossible to lose. Until, suddenly, a swift hand snatched his cell phone in the middle of the match. It was Zhang Yue, his childhood friend. She scolded him for playing games instead of preparing for the important awakening exam. Unfazed, Ningfeng replied that he didn't need to try so hard. After all, he could simply depend on her in the future. His answer didn't please Zhang Yue at all, who put him in a headlock in front of everyone. As he tried to break free, the other students began to gossip. They recognized Zhang Yue as a genius and Ningfeng as the school's trash, who at 18 had not yet awakened. The commotion was interrupted by the start of the exam. An instructor began to explain the rules, detailing the 4 main classes that students could awaken. Ningfeng, however, didn't seem at all excited about the ceremony. His expression was one of pure boredom. The instructor explained that those who passed the test would receive basic equipment, and then the next name to be called was Ningfeng's. He confirmed his presence, somewhat reluctantly. It was his turn to face the crystal and discover his destiny. Professor Qi Wei calmed him down, telling him not to be nervous and to start the test when he was ready. With some hesitation, Ningfeng reached out and touched the cold surface of the awakening crystal. The instant his hand made contact, the crystal reacted. An intense light began to pulse from within the stone, surprising everyone. For a moment, Ningfeng's world was reduced to that glow. The hope of finally awakening a powerful ability took over him, making his heart race. He felt the crystal's reaction and was sure he would awaken. The blue light indicated that his power would be of the magic system, one of the most common and reliable. But the excitement didn't last long. Around him, the other students began to laugh and whisper, mocking Ningfeng's situation. And the reason for the mockery soon became clear. The result of his awakening was only a single star, the lowest possible level. Even the professor couldn't hide her disappointment. She lamented the result, finding it a pity that his potential was so limited. She tried to talk to Ningfeng, but the young man seemed to be in shock, unable to process the humiliating failure. As shame consumed him, something unexpected happened. A different energy began to emanate from him, something that no one else seemed to notice. Suddenly, a system screen appeared in front of him. The system was successfully activated, granting him 2 passive abilities, Shadow Affinity and Mysterious Gift. Ningfeng was paralyzed. Shadow power? He wondered if it wasn't the most evil and feared power in the world. The system then detected his only awakened ability, the Mud Swamp Technique, and without warning, initiated a transformation on it. He became even more apprehensive. The terms darkening and forbidden spells didn't sound good at all. This could be a big problem. Despite his concerns, the test needed to continue. All candidates were guided to the next phase, a practical test in a simulated battlefield. As he walked towards the portal, Ningfeng demanded an explanation from the system in his mind, but received no response. As soon as they entered, the battle began. The other candidates used their new abilities to face hordes of monsters without hesitation. The danger was real and immediate, but Ningfeng, with his single and seemingly useless mud ability, had no way to fight. He was completely vulnerable. While the other candidates fought, Ningfeng hid. Without any useful attack ability, his only option was to watch the monsters from afar and wait for a chance. He stayed in the shadows, analyzing the movement of the goblins. Any mistake could be fatal, so patience was his only weapon at the moment. The The young man knew that the location was monitored by drones, which prevented him from using his forbidden spells. Without another way to attack, he was tied, forced to wait. Meanwhile, in the control room, one of the supervisors noticed Ning Feng's inactivity. He questioned why the boy wasn't doing anything while everyone else was facing the monsters. The supervisor was already ready to disqualify him, certain that a one-star profession would never become a real adventurer. But suddenly, something on the monitor made him stop. An alert sounded in the control room. The systems detected an immense and unusual power fluctuation coming from inside the exam arena. Back in the forest, the origin of the power was revealed. A hooded goblin, unlike all the others, emerged and began to gather an army of monsters. With a war cry, the goblin leader ordered his followers to annihilate all invaders. The situation had just become much more dangerous. The leader positioned himself on the wreckage of one of the surveillance drones, inciting his troops for the imminent attack. With a single quick and powerful movement, he destroyed the drone in the air, cutting off the supervision team's visual communication with that area. The wreckage of the equipment fell near Ning Feng, who was completely confused. He had no idea why the drone had simply plummeted from the sky. From his position, he saw the true scale of the problem, a massive horde of monsters gathering just below. He was alone, facing an army led by a monster that was clearly of an elite class. And that's when the horde leader noticed him. The creature's gaze locked directly onto Ning Feng, who was now the sole target. Cornered and with no other choice, Ning Feng prepared to use the power he had tried so hard to hide, the forbidden spell. A wave of dark energy exploded from his body, sweeping away the horde of monsters as if they were nothing. In the control room, panic set in. The energy was so absurd that they suspected the emergence of a king-level monster, ordering immediate evacuation and calling for reinforcements. Even the monsters felt a fear they had never known. The creature couldn't understand what was happening. Ning Feng himself could hardly believe the strength flowing through his hands. This power was much greater than he ever imagined. The horde leader, once so imposing, now struggled to move. He didn't understand how a simple human could have such overwhelming dark power that paralyzed his movements. With a confident smile, Ning Feng prepared himself. He was going to end it all at once. But after the dust settled, he noticed something strange. The place was too quiet, desolate. He looked around and understood. The power of the forbidden spell not only destroyed the enemies, but also left behind a series of deadly traps. And a dangerous idea began to form in his mind. He realized that this testing area had become a gold mine. With these traps, he could level up and get rich much faster than he imagined. Only he wasn't the only one aware of what had happened. Realizing that it would be terrible if someone discovered his power, Ning Feng decided to flee immediately. He activated the teleportation scroll to get out of there as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, in the control room, the tension was at its peak. The supervisor didn't know if reinforcements would arrive in time to contain the situation. The situation was already far beyond what they could control, and the sudden disappearance of the power source only made everything more confusing and dangerous. He had barely escaped and was already approached by an insistent girl. She invited him to join her team, but Ning Feng refused, preferring to go his own way to get stronger. Only the girl wouldn't take no for an answer. She simply set up a date and left, leaving Ning Feng completely crazy with her stubbornness. Leaving the matter aside, the young man had a clear goal in mind. He went to the Yuancheng Exchange, the main trading center for awakened in the city. Inside, he tried to buy an item with a specific low-level spell. The saleswoman, however, tried to push more expensive equipment, but Ning Feng was direct. He only needed something temporary. The attendant then called a more experienced employee to handle his request. In addition to buying, Ningfeng also had another plan: to sell the loot he got in his last battles to raise some money. The new employee greeted him professionally, ready to help him with whatever he needed. She guided him through the place, which was full of high-level equipment and weapons, showing the grandeur of that market. The employee took him to the house's chief appraiser, a man known as Master Wang. Without beating around the bush, Ningfeng presented the item he wanted to sell and asked the master to assess how much it was worth. Master Wang's bored expression disappeared instantly. He recognized the claw as an orange-class weapon with excellent attributes and perfect for beginners. A rare and valuable item. Ningfeng just watched with a smile. He knew exactly the value of what he had in his hands, and the appraiser's reaction only confirmed his suspicions. With a completely changed tone, Master Wang instructed his employee to treat Ningfeng as an honored guest, realizing that the young man was no ordinary novice. Immediately, the master began making calls to find a buyer for the item, while Ningfeng received VIP treatment, awaiting the outcome of the negotiation. Meanwhile, the employee who attended to Ningfeng, Yang Xin, watched everything from afar. The young man she had despised was now the center of attention, and her expression betrayed pure regret. Outside, the other saleswomen commented on the commission that Yang Xin lost. One of them, however, defended herself, saying that she is only interested in rich and powerful men, and that a poor guy wouldn't even be good enough to carry her shoes. Reality hit hard when she heard the sale price: 50,000 crystal coins. The poor wretch was, in fact, absurdly rich, and it finally dawned on her. After the negotiation, Yang Xin approached Ningfeng with a completely different posture. She introduced herself formally, hoping that he would look for her next time he visited the place, but it was too late to try to fix the mistake. The next day, Ningfeng was already walking around the city, testing the new equipment he bought. With the money from the sale, he finally had what he needed to not worry about being exposed. It was then that he spotted a familiar figure in the crowd and called her by name. It was Yue. Yue was accompanied by her guildmates, who greeted Ningfeng in a friendly manner when he approached. The tranquility of the encounter, however, was broken by an unexpected presence that suddenly appeared, putting Ningfeng on alert. A young man approached the group with an arrogant smile, offering a shining potion as if it were a simple gift. Yue's companions recognized the item right away. It was an advanced and extremely expensive potion that permanently increased the attributes of whoever took it. Yue, however, refused the offer. She thanked him for his kindness, but told him to take the gift back. Ningfeng watched the scene from afar, not understanding anything about that forced interaction. He just wanted to know who that guy was and why he was acting that way. The group's patience ran out, and one of the girls pushed the intruder, telling him to get out of the way and stop bothering them. But the boy was not shaken. He seemed to have a plan and was about to reveal his true intention, confident that his next offer would simply be irresistible. The boy, frustrated, turned his attention to Ningfeng. He provoked him, calling him a rabid dog and belittling the potion that the protagonist had as if it were just any worthless item. Ningfeng, however, responded with a confidence that caught the other off guard. He simply challenged him to test it to see if that was really a lie. It was then that the boy revealed his true trump card, an extremely rare orange item, the Pioneer Badge. The crowd was shocked. An item that permanently added 10 attribute points? They couldn't believe it, thinking that something like that could only be a lie. The boy then turned to Yue and offered her the item, declaring that it was his gift. But the reaction of everyone was not what he expected. The boy was stunned, and his friends began to back away, feeling that the situation had soured completely. The humiliation was visible on his face. Being rejected in that way, in front of everyone, was more than he could bear. Completely ignoring the other, Yue approached Ningfeng. To the protagonist's surprise, she offered him a book. They were skill books. Yue explained that he could use them as soon as he reached the level necessary to learn the new techniques. Ning Feng accepted the gift, leafing through the book with interest. It was a totally unexpected but very welcome gesture. A smile of pure satisfaction appeared on his face. Those skills would be extremely useful for his future plans. Later, in a completely different place, the mood changed. A swift attack cut through the darkness. It was Yue, in the middle of a battle, showing her skill with the bow, and Ning Feng was there, acting as her biggest fan and cheering her on. Suddenly, the moment was interrupted by a call. Yue answered and her expression turned serious. Someone on the other end of the line had urgent news for her. On the other end of the line, a woman asked if Yue was already on her way. The urgency in her voice was clear, indicating that the situation was serious. Meanwhile, Ning Feng was confident. He prepared well, learning new skills and focusing on the rare items that the necromancer could drop, items that were crucial for him. Back to the call, Yue listened attentively. At the same time, Ning Feng reflected on his own limitations. He only had 3 slots for skills and would need to reach level 15 to use the book that Yue gave him. The decision was made. She knew what needed to be done, no matter how difficult the task ahead was. Ning Feng was also preparing for what was to come. The path ahead was infested. A horde of undead guarded the tower, an obstacle that would need to be overcome. Other adventurers who arrived at the scene were shocked. They weren't the first. Someone had already advanced far ahead of them. The destination was the Perilous Tomb, a dark and imposing place. The real challenge lay in the depths of that tower, and at the top, the boss waited. The necromancer of fallen law, an intimidating presence that would not tolerate intruders in his domains. His red eyes fixed on the target, emanating an aura of pure evil and power. But Ning Feng was not intimidated. He was there alone for a reason. He didn't want to share the spoils with anyone. Without hesitation, he activated his skill, Meteor Shower. The battle was intense, but victory was his. With the defeat of the necromancer, Ning Feng finally reached level 30, an important milestone in his journey. However, something unexpected happened. A wave of different power ran through his body. It wasn't just the feeling of leveling up, it was a frightening fluctuation of magic, something he had never felt before. Far away, Yue received the notification. The Perilous Tomb had suffered severe damage, and the source was a king-level threat. She understood immediately what was happening. With no time to waste, Yue sent a message saying she needed to leave immediately. An urgent matter had come up, and she couldn't wait. Meanwhile, now that he had reached level 30, Ning Feng headed to the transformation hall. It was time to make his advancement official and choose his new class. To his surprise, the hall was practically empty. Only a receptionist was waiting for him at the back of the huge room, ready to assist him. The woman at the reception greeted him, asking directly if he was there to receive the class transformation task. Upon registering Ning Feng's information, the receptionist noticed his age. She commented that his aptitude seemed a bit low for someone who took so long to transform. After registering, she guided him to the correct area for the mage transformation, asking him to follow her and start the process. Far away, the same woman discussed the crisis that was forming. In just 2 days, 2 king-level threats had emerged, and the situation was getting out of control. Back at the hall, Ning Feng received the details of his mission. He would have 3 days to enter the Wulmong Tomb and obtain the Blood Soul Crown, a task of A-level difficulty. Analyzing the options, he realized that one of them, God Mage of all systems, seemed to be a preliminary mission for something bigger. Without hesitation, he chose it. With the mission accepted, he moved forward. The 3-day deadline was a relief. giving him enough time to prepare without too much pressure. And so, he arrived at his destination, the entrance to the Wulmang tomb, a desolate and silent place that held the challenges of his new journey. But he wasn't the only one interested in that place. An elite group, known as Solitary Shadow, was also present, investigating the recent disturbances. The leader of the group was worried. He reported that several secret realms were showing strange signs, and he suspected that it could all be the prelude to a major crisis. One of the group's warriors confirmed the gravity of the situation. The threat there had already surpassed the king level, and the power needed to cause that was immense. Another officer concluded that an absurdly powerful monster was hiding in the city. The order was clear. It needed to be found as quickly as possible. Before back in his room, Ningfeng felt at home in the shadows. That dark environment, which intimidated most, was a place of comfort and power for him. He then activated the system to analyze the new skill book he had obtained. The system quickly identified the falling rock technique and, to Ningfeng's surprise, initiated an automatic fusion with his forbidden curses, creating something entirely new. With the process completed, a new and powerful defense skill was added to his arsenal. Now, he was even more prepared for what was to come. It was already day, and with his enhanced powers, Ningfeng went out to take care of his business in the city. At the location, an employee approached him, offering to accompany him as the person he was looking for was busy. From afar, a man watched Ningfeng with interest. The young man was already attracting the attention of powerful people who now wanted to investigate his mysterious past. Later, Ningfeng and the employee were talking in a cafe. The business meeting was over, and he invited her for a drink. When the bill arrived, he paid it, surprising the girl who insisted that the agreement was for her to pay. Ningfeng just said he had a good reason for it. In the car, the same man who had been watching them before was now acting as the driver. The girl gave the address of her destination, the city hospital. In silence, she became emotional. Thanks to the commission she earned from the negotiation with Ningfeng, she finally got the money for her father's medical expenses. Suddenly, the car window shattered. The moment of relief was brutally interrupted by a surprise attack. The impact of the crash violently threw her out of the vehicle. Outside, the attacker grinned sinisterly, satisfied with the chaos he had just created. And then, the car exploded in a gigantic ball of fire, engulfing everything around it. In the middle of the smoke, the attacker revealed his true form, a monstrous creature driven by pure destruction, which seemed to have come out of a nightmare. On the ground, the employee tried to use her skills, but soon realized it was useless. The enemy's power was simply overwhelming and beyond her comprehension. With a cry of pain, she was thrown back by the force of the attack, unable to offer any resistance. It was then that the driver placed himself in front of her, wielding his sword. He told her to hide, taking the front line to protect her at all costs. He looked at the destruction and understood the gravity of the situation. This was not a monster that an ordinary one-star hunter could even dream of facing. The enemy introduced himself not as a simple mutant, but as the guardian of the power of darkness, a completely unknown and terrifying entity. Without hesitation, the driver advanced with everything he had, but his attack was blocked with frightening ease, as if it were child's play. He used all his strength, but the difference in power was clear and humiliating. He was already at his absolute limit. The Guardian, on the other hand, barely made an effort. With a simple gesture, he prepared his counterattack, channeling dark energy. The darkness materialized into thorns of pure energy, ready to pierce any defense. His hand transformed into a lethal claw, covered by that sinister and deadly aura. A sadistic smile took over his face. He was enjoying this completely one-sided fight. The blow was devastating. The driver was thrown away like a rag doll, completely defeated. However, the Guardian seemed to argue with the source of his power, which reminded him that, without that strength, he would be just another human. And while all this destruction was happening, Ningfeng finally came out of the bathroom, completely oblivious to the chaos that awaited him outside. The moment he stepped out, Ningfeng realized that something was terribly wrong. What he saw left him completely paralyzed. He finally understood the origin of all that noise. The scene before him was one of pure destruction. In the middle of the wreckage, a monstrous creature stood over the fallen bodies. The attacker didn't look human at all. The chaos was total. Innocent people had been caught in the middle of that brutal and senseless attack. The creature realized it had been seen, and its gaze turned to the new prey. Without warning, the attacker launched an attack. The speed was absurd, and the blow seemed impossible to dodge. But the young man reacted at the last instant, activating his defense. That was the power of the new ability he had just acquired. A barrier materialized in front of him, blocking the direct impact of the blow. The Guardian smiled, confident that his power would crush anyone. To him, Ningfeng was just another insect in the way, but his expression quickly changed when he felt the resistance. Something was very wrong. His blow, which should have destroyed everything, was completely stopped. Ningfeng's defense was much stronger than he imagined. He couldn't believe it. How could a full-strength attack be blocked like that? It was then that the Guardian felt a terrifying aura coming from Ningfeng, a pressure he had never felt before, more frightening than death itself. Ningfeng stared back at him, showing no emotion. The hunter had just become the hunted. Suddenly, the attacker's power began to falter, to fade away. He panicked, not understanding what was happening to his own body. The realm invasion was a constant threat, with creatures emerging from nowhere to cause chaos. The city lived in fear of these sudden and brutal attacks. While chaos spread, in other places life seemed to follow a completely different rhythm, with people totally unaware of the imminent danger. But behind all the invasion, there were powerful figures moving the pieces, individuals who allied with the realm to bring destruction to the real world. The hunter on the ground thought victory was certain. He just needed to grab the spoils and go home. Little did he know that his opponent was on a completely different level. In his last moments, all that was left was a cry of fury and despair, realizing that he had fatally underestimated his enemy. From afar, another figure watched the situation, commenting on how things could be problematic. With the threat resolved, he decided to check what happened. Suddenly, a violent crash broke the silence of the ruined city. Someone's arrival would not go unnoticed. The one responsible for the crash finally revealed himself. Before his imposing presence, a survivor knelt, completely subdued. The fight, if there was one, ended before it even began. The leader of the group that caused all that destruction finally revealed herself. Even in the face of overwhelming force, the survivor refused to lower his guard, wielding what was left of his weapon as a final act of defiance. The group leader finally faced the only one left standing. With a cutting coldness, she questioned what a mere survivor was still doing there, as if his mere presence was an insult. But the leader's words didn't have the expected effect. Instead of fear, the only survivor showed a silent fury, making it clear that he would not be dismissed so easily. Only then did the leader understand the reason for so much fury. That man was not a simple rebel, but a traitor who had infiltrated the organization, and now it was too late for her. Her masked companion then pointed out a worrying similarity. She questioned whether the situation wasn't exactly the same as what had just happened, forcing the leader to see a pattern she hadn't noticed before. The harsh reality weighed on her thoughts. The entire army had not only been defeated, but completely annihilated, a massacre that resulted in the direct death of the main target. Of that army, only a handful of survivors remained. While the young man processed the overwhelming loss, his companions watched in silence, not knowing what to say or do in the face of such tragedy. As a reward for the battle, Ning Feng obtained a very high-level item, a piece of legendary armor that required level 120 to use, something far beyond his current capabilities. He then inspected another item, a skull necklace. With a certain sarcasm, he hoped that there wasn't any kind of ancient god or powerful entity hidden inside there, but the necklace seemed to have a will of its own. A dark energy began to emanate from the artifact, indicating that his fears might not be so unfounded after all. Suddenly, his consciousness was dragged into the object. Before him, a powerful and dark entity was sitting on a throne, watching him in silence. The ancient god was real. And upon sensing Ning Feng's aura, the entity reacted in panic, closing the dimensional realm in a hurry so as not to be discovered. The spirit was terrified, not understanding how a mere human could sense its presence. The shock was so great that it needed a moment to recover. Meanwhile, in a hospital, the authorities were investigating the recent massacre. One of the survivors, completely bandaged, was the focus of attention. A doctor and an agent watched the patient, trying to understand what had happened. They wanted to know who the mysterious hero was who had saved the day. Despite his injuries, the man seemed relieved. He told them that he was saved by a young fighter whose mere presence was enough to scare away the enemies. Far away, Ning Feng arrived at a desolate place to begin his class change task. On the horizon, a golden citadel stood out in the landscape. He approached his goal, unaware that he was being watched. Hidden in the shadows, someone spied on him. The observer noticed his high level and already saw him as an easy target, a rich client who could be easily deceived. Soon, a silver-haired man approached him. He went straight to the point, confirming that Ning Feng was there to buy a fourth transfer armor set. Next to him was a woman who seemed to be the mastermind behind the operation. She introduced him, confirming that they had exactly what he was looking for. The woman was already planning how to take advantage of the young man. She believed that if they could bring him to their side, they would have nothing to worry about in the future. The man, known as Master Wang, laughed disdainfully. He was convinced that Ning Feng's fortune could only have come from illicit means, which made the whole situation even more interesting to him. But his joy was short-lived. The woman noticed the sudden change in her boss's face, who now seemed to have received terrible news and was completely shaken. Master Wang was sweating profusely. He understood that this time, the young man had provoked someone he shouldn't have. The items Ning Feng possessed belonged to an extremely dangerous figure. The woman, however, remained composed. She seemed confident that, being powerful experts, they could still handle the situation and come out on top. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the silver-haired man who had approached Ning Feng earlier followed him from afar, watching the young man's every step. He stayed hidden behind the rocks, analyzing his target's behavior. The order was clear. Don't lose sight of Ning Feng for a single second. Suddenly, the scenery around Ning Feng transformed. He found himself in front of a chaotic battlefield, with warriors fighting fiercely in front of a large temple. The observer was shocked. He expected to see impressive armor, but Ning Feng looked like an ordinary student. It didn't make any sense. The battle continued, but the monsters seemed to completely ignore Ning Feng's presence, focusing their attacks only on the other warriors. And then, the spy saw something that left him speechless, completely incredulous at the scene unfolding before his eyes. A skill was activated, an absolute defense that simply could not be broken. He realized that this young man was much more than he seemed. In order not to lose sight of his target if he moved away, the man decided to use one of his skills and marked Ning Feng with a spiritual tracker. The mark was applied without Ningfeng noticing. He continued on his way, and the strangest thing was that the creatures around him deviated from him, as if they were afraid to get close. He looked around and, satisfied that he didn't see anyone, thought he was alone. Little did he know that his every move was still being watched from the shadows. The guardian, an imposing statue, began to sweat profusely. He felt a presence that shouldn't be there, something that broke the rules of that place. And there was Ningfeng, a solitary figure in front of the colossal angelic entity, a mortal against a being that looked like a god. But the young man showed no fear. He just looked up, facing the challenge head-on, as if he already knew exactly what he needed to do. Suddenly, the heavens parted. An overwhelming power descended with a lightning bolt, announcing the beginning of the confrontation. A hand reached out towards the angel. A simple gesture, but one that carried the weight of a force that was about to be released. It was Ningfeng. With a confident smile, he conjured a dark and chaotic energy, a power that did not belong to a mere student. In the sky, a gigantic eye opened, watching the world below. A mass destruction magic, capable of erasing existence itself, was invoked. The black energy flowed through his entire body, a forbidden power that he controlled with frightening mastery. The guardian angel, once divine and imposing, didn't stand a chance. The statue began to fall apart, transformed into mere rubble. Watching from afar, the silver-haired man fell to his knees, completely shocked. He realized that Ningfeng's strength surpassed even that of his master. It was a legendary power. He lamented the loss of so many experience points, but decided it was time to retreat. With the mission emblem in hand, he prepared to leave. Terror took over him. What he had just witnessed was a magic capable of destroying worlds, something he never imagined could exist. After the battle, a sacred item materialized in Ningfeng's hand. It was the reward for defeating the guardian. Only when looking at the young man's face, the follower noticed something strange. Ningfeng didn't seem happy with the victory. On the contrary, he seemed annoyed by something. Moments later, in a completely different place, the two finally stood face to face. The follower was no longer hidden, and Ningfeng knew he was no longer alone. Ningfeng pondered his pursuer's skill. If the man hadn't decided to reveal himself, he would never have noticed he was being followed. Fear gripped the follower. He wondered if Ningfeng's plan was to silence him forever, ensuring his secret remained safe. But instead of an attack, the silver-haired man expressed his gratitude. He thanked Ningfeng for avenging his master and offered his services for the future. Ningfeng said nothing, just processed the unexpected turn of events. The situation had just become much more complicated. The follower concluded that, despite the dark power, Ningfeng hadn't hurt innocents and even saved the city. Such great power, kept secret, deserved his respect. In the middle of the conversation, Ningfeng's cell phone began to vibrate. He saw it was a call from Professor Qi and found the sudden contact strange, wondering what she could want. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Professor Qi was discussing the case. She stated that, if not for the immediate investigation, the student's sudden power surge would have gone unnoticed. She was presenting the case to her superiors, hoping that Ningfeng's situation would catch the attention of the higher-ups. The professor seemed confident in her assessment, certain that she was dealing with something out of the ordinary. She concluded her presentation, leaving the decision in the hands of the council. The leaders listened in silence, the tension in the room palpable as they considered the information. The discussion then turned to the mutants. It was explained that they use dark power, but it comes at a terrible price, the loss of sanity and life itself, turning them into monsters. It was a path of no return. One of the council members, however, dismissed the possibility with disdain. He stated that the existence of a king-level mutant was impossible, as the cost to the user would be unbearable. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a man reacted to the news with a smile of pure satisfaction. The situation seemed to be unfolding exactly as he expected. A woman confirmed the information everyone feared. The target of the attack had been the Temple of Radiance. To contain the threat, a huge magical barrier was erected over the city, completely isolating the problem area. Amidst the confused crowd, people tried to understand what exactly had happened to justify such a drastic measure. The authorities tried to calm everyone down, assuring them that the barrier was at its maximum level. They stated that the dark forces would be contained and that everyone would be safe, but outside, something was already testing the limits of that protection. A powerful demonic creature watched the barrier with disdain, questioning why the humans bothered to erect it. To him, it was not an obstacle. With a simple touch of his claw, the creature began to interact with the barrier's energy. Suddenly, one of the guards noticed something wrong and looked up, not understanding what was happening. A low, frightened sound cut through the air, coming from inside the protected area. Out of nowhere, monsters began to emerge from the shadows, already on the inside of the barrier. Chaos ensued in a matter of seconds. The crowd, which had previously felt safe, now ran in panic, screaming for help as they tried to escape the creatures. One of the warriors went into shock. He couldn't understand how the monsters were appearing, since the barrier remained intact. Amidst the confusion, the blue-haired youth stood in front of Ningfeng, releasing his aura. He was ready to act. The blue-haired youth faced the threat before him, but Ningfeng was confused by the sudden intervention. He didn't seem to need protection, but soon after, Ningfeng decided it wasn't convenient to intervene. He would simply let the stranger deal with the situation. Meanwhile, the other warriors tried to contain the creatures that were appearing throughout the city, but the disadvantage was clear. One after another, they were brutally defeated by the monsters. Despair gripped the civilians, who watched helplessly as the city's defenders were massacred. The demonic creature that was watching everything from afar expressed his disappointment. He had hoped to find stronger humans to amuse himself, and then the main demon finally decided to join the fight, appearing in the middle of the crowd and spreading panic everywhere. The creature approached a defenseless student, ready to attack. Terror paralyzed everyone around. But before he could deliver the final blow, a swift attack intercepted the creature. The demon recoiled, surprised by the unexpected intervention. It was the young man with bluish hair. He landed in front of the monster, taking on the fight. Giving the demon no time to react, the warrior advanced with a sequence of blows so fast they looked like beams of light cutting through the air. The crowd was shocked by the level of power. They could hardly believe that the monsters, which had seemed invincible, didn't stand a chance against that warrior. The young warrior showed no emotion. His focus was entirely on eliminating the threat in front of him. While the main battle took place, other hunters seized the opportunity. A skilled archer began to take down the flying creatures, eyeing the rewards they could get. With the threat eliminated, the young warrior turned to Ningfeng, treating him as his leader. He asked what they should do with the item they obtained. Ningfeng, with a satisfied smile, gave a nod of approval. He already had a plan in mind for the valuable equipment they had obtained in the battle. The warrior then presented the spoils of victory. There were 2 energy cores and an even rarer item, a shadow shield. Ningfeng decided they wouldn't keep it. The best option was to sell it and get some good money. Suddenly, a man approached, introducing himself as Kai Dongming, the mayor of Longbow City. He effusively thanked the two for saving the city from destruction. The mayor noticed that they weren't from the region and, a little awkwardly, apologized for the confusion that trapped them there. Ningfeng listened in silence without showing much reaction. His calmness seemed to make the mayor even more nervous. Kai Dongming then made a desperate request that they stay in the city for a few days since the local defenses were completely destroyed. The pressure from Ningfeng was palpable. The mayor began to sweat, intimidated by the young man's aura. Ningfeng refused, explaining that he had a tight schedule and needed to leave. As a last resort, Cai Dongming offered a small gift as a form of thanks, hoping to change the hero's mind. Ningfeng had his companion accept the gift. The mayor insisted, saying that he would be worried if they didn't accept the reward. In the end, Ningfeng agreed to help the city in the future if they needed it. The crowd and the mayor celebrated in relief as the city of Longbo now had a powerful protector. Using a flight scroll they earned, Ningfeng and his companion traveled to Qinyu City, arriving at the class transfer hall. However, their arrival did not go unnoticed. A young blonde woman and her companion saw them passing through the sky. The girl was shocked. She was sure that one of the people flying was Ningfeng, but she couldn't understand how he would have money for such a rare item. Jiang Yue's companion didn't believe what he saw. He questioned how a poor wretch like Ningfeng could pay for a flight scroll, an item that cost thousands of crystals. He continued the mockery, saying that Ningfeng had just awakened and had no reason to be in the class transfer hall. The boy was annoyed to even compare himself to someone he considered a complete loser, questioning why she always brought Ningfeng into the conversation. But Jiang Yue's response was immediate and cutting. She warned him to never speak ill of Ningfeng again, or he would bitterly regret the audacity. At that moment, a friend of theirs arrived to break the tension. Curious, she asked Jiang Yue how her second transformation task had been. The companion watched with a malicious smile, noting that Jiang Yue's expression looked strange. He savored the idea that even the genius girl could have her bad days. The friend asked why she hadn't said anything before. Jiang Yue confessed that her situation seemed different from the others, as she had unlocked a hidden class never seen before. The revelation left the boy in complete shock. He couldn't believe that the emblem that Ningfeng gave her actually had such a powerful effect. Inside the transition formation, Jiang Yue reflected on Ningfeng's confidence. She realized that he already knew everything and mentally thanked him for the gift that would change her destiny. The system then revealed her new advanced class, Vanguard Shadow, a completely unknown profession that she had never heard of. The young woman worried about the possibility of an error in the system. After all, a wrong choice in profession change could ruin her entire life. Despite her doubts, she began to understand the situation. The new class was not a mistake, but a unique opportunity that she needed to understand. The boy, on the other hand, couldn't hide his envy. He was eaten up inside, not understanding how someone could be so lucky as to get a 5-star hidden profession. Far away, a mysterious woman also watched the events. She analyzed Ningfeng's power, noting that he possessed precise control over forbidden spells. Intrigued, Professor Qi Wei decided that she needed to confirm her suspicions personally. She was convinced that the student was not simple and would look for him for a conversation. Professor Qi Wei was sure of one thing, that her student was not simple at all. There was a mystery surrounding him that she needed to unravel, and, apparently, she wasn't the only person interested in the recent events. Determined to get to the bottom of the story, she went to look for Ningfeng personally. Meanwhile, the protagonist was talking to a colleague, beginning to understand the implications of his new powers, until suddenly, he ran into Professor Qi. The conversation would have to wait. She stared at him with a serious expression, making it clear she wasn't there for formalities. Taken by surprise, Ningfeng tried to defuse the situation, assuring her that she didn't need to worry as he wasn't a mutant. But the teacher explained that, because he was very sensitive to the power of darkness, the authorities used a special crystal to detect mutants. A test was necessary, but the results shocked everyone. When Ning Feng injected his power, the crystal didn't just react, it exploded into 1,000 pieces. Despite the tension, Ning Feng took the moment to be sincere with his teacher. He thanked her for all the care she had given him over the years. Professor Chi Wei listened in silence, taken aback by the boy's gratitude. Then, to prove his words, Ning Feng revealed that he had prepared a gift for her. An intense light emanated from his hand. He offered the item with a confident smile, as if it were nothing special. The teacher was speechless. What he was offering was an orange-grade equipment, an item of incalculable value. That kid was full of surprises. The news about Ning Feng's power was already starting to spread. Elsewhere, a mysterious woman pondered the true identity and potential of the young student, who was now an unknown factor in the equation. Meanwhile, in a laboratory, another important figure seemed to be following the developments closely. Night fell over the city. Inside a luxury apartment, an important conversation was about to take place. There, a young man with silver hair was asked if he was unhappy with anything. His expression, however, was difficult to read. The boy seemed to ponder the question. His thoughts turned to the recent anomalies that were emerging around the world. The person he was talking to commented that the concerns of someone so important were, naturally, different from those of ordinary people. The comment didn't seem to shake him. He remained focused on what really mattered, seeking a solution to the problems that were piling up. With the conversation over, the young man headed for the exit. He already had a plan in mind, and there was no time to lose. Before leaving, he turned and thanked them for their kindness, confirming that he would accept what was offered to him. It was a sealed deal. Far from all this seriousness, Ning Feng was back in his natural habitat, lying on the couch, playing on his cell phone as if nothing had happened. Suddenly, a notification in a chat group caught his attention. The subject was much more serious than he expected. While reading the news about the invasions, a thought distracted him. He never imagined he would surpass his colleagues in so few days. The newly acquired power was surreal. The world's situation was chaotic, but to him, it sounded like a great opportunity. A confident smile appeared on his face. The idea that others were still worried about small things like obtaining high-level equipment made him laugh. He was already on another level, but the laughter didn't last long. As he continued reading, he realized the real gravity of the situation. The world was changing too fast, and his few days of tranquility seemed to have come to an end. Far away, a powerful entity felt an inexplicable disturbance. A sudden wave of fear coming from an unknown source put him on alert. Meanwhile, at the Yuancheng Trade Center, a woman defended Ning Feng. She refused to believe the accusations that he was a thief who dared to mess with powerful people. But her co-worker seemed to be enjoying the situation. To her, Ning Feng was just a fool who should already be finished by now. But her arrogance was abruptly interrupted. In the blink of an eye, a dark force struck her, throwing her back violently. When the dust settled, the scene shocked everyone. Ning Feng was there, imposing. A blade of dark energy had stopped inches from the aggressor, who was now trembling on the ground. The woman could hardly believe what she saw, stammering Ning Feng's name. The person she despised was the one who had brought her to her knees. Seeing his ally's concern, Ning Feng reassured her. He told her not to worry, as he would take care of everything from there. It was then that the true authority of the place arrived. A group of men approached, led by an important figure. Without hesitation, Ning Feng confronted him. He went straight to the point, questioning why Master Wang was investigating him and labeling him as a thief. But instead of using force, the young man revealed his trump card. He presented a golden card, a symbol of status that would silence anyone who doubted him. Master Wang's reaction was immediate. Shock took over his face as he demanded to know where Ning Feng had gotten that card. Confusion settled on the scene. The guards blocked the way, preventing onlookers from getting any closer to the scene. The crowd watched from afar, not understanding how the situation had escalated from a simple accusation to something much bigger. Master Wang's phone rang. It was Mayor Kai, wanting to know what the confusion was about involving the membership card that he himself had given to Ning Feng. At that moment, Master Wang froze. Sweat ran down his face as he realized the magnitude of the mistake he had made. He had not accused just any thief, but the mayor's protege. Elsewhere, a powerful man was making an important call. He reported that the combat suit had been found and that he would call a big shot from Fourth Transformation to resolve the matter. The news terrified the man on the other end of the line. The mere thought of having to face that silver-haired young man in person was enough to make him tremble with fear. Meanwhile, a couple was being confronted in a room. They were told to pack their things and leave, as a simple apology would not be enough to fix what they had done. Suddenly, Master Wang and the silver-haired young man burst into the hallway, running towards the room. The situation was about to escalate. Ning Feng was surprised by the sudden arrival of the two. The pair stopped in front of the couple with obvious fury. They weren't there to talk. The woman screamed in panic as her partner collapsed beside her, completely defeated by the pressure and fear. Master Wang, sweating profusely, turned to Ning Feng and asked if he was sure he didn't want them to apologize. The power dynamic had completely shifted. Now, Ning Feng and the mysterious young man were the guests of honor, while Master Wang served them, utterly humiliated. Ning Feng himself seemed a little lost at how quickly everything had turned in his favor. He remembered the power he had awakened. A forbidden spell was in his hands, and he had no idea what it could become. A wave of clarity passed through his mind, as if the system was connecting directly with his consciousness. Then, a new concept emerged. Endgame relic. It was a term he had never heard, and the system gave no explanation. The mental effort left him exhausted. After the revelation, all he could do was yawn, feeling the weight of his new reality. The silver-haired young man approached and, to Ning Feng's surprise, called him boss, suggesting they go somewhere. The silver-haired young man took Ning Feng to a luxurious mansion, asking in admiration if this was the place the city had prepared for him. Sitting on the sofa, he offered financial help, realizing that the protagonist might need money to settle in. But the conversation was interrupted by a sudden notification from the system, which caught Ning Feng's attention. In the next instant, the protagonist fell to the ground, to the surprise of his new companion. It was a reaction to something only he could see. Meanwhile, elsewhere, an important meeting was about to begin. The tension was high. Inside the room, a group of officers was discussing a critical situation. The responsibility for solving the problem seemed to have fallen on a woman's shoulders. She expressed her frustration with an adventurer who refused to cooperate. Determined, she announced that she would take care of the investigation personally. The mystery was great. The invasion of a secret realm had suddenly stopped, and all the mutants involved in the operation had been exterminated. The situation didn't make the slightest sense, and the lack of answers left her visibly pensive. One of the men in the meeting, however, seemed skeptical. He doubted the rumors about a supposed powerful, mysterious figure being behind it all. Later, this same man arrived at the scene of the incident. The guards authorized him to enter so he could begin his investigation. As he passed through the portal, he felt the residual energy in the air. The dark power emanating from the ground fascinated him, finding the place much more intriguing than he expected. The energy of darkness seemed to react to his presence, enveloping his hand as if recognizing his power. Then, he had a vision of what had happened there. A colossal demonic creature was defeated, leaving behind only the echo of an epic battle. And the adventurer who refused to help? He was at his own house, completely oblivious to the confusion his absence was causing. Meanwhile, Ning Feng was focused on his game, asking for help so he wouldn't lose points. That's when the system alerted him. The target in the treacherous cemetery had started moving. However, the investigator who was looking for him noticed something strange on his tracker. The monster's presence had suddenly disappeared, leaving him completely confused. The area of the incident was quickly isolated by the authorities. No one was allowed to enter, creating a security perimeter around the site of the battle. Shortly after, an elite group arrived at the scene. They were experienced monster hunters, sent to deal with the threat that, unbeknownst to them, had already been neutralized. The leader of the group assessed the situation. She knew that the mayor had already asked Du Ane for help, but she doubted he would be a match for the monster that caused such destruction. The battle against the creature had been devastating. The squad commander ended up seriously injured, and her companion used everything she had to try to heal her amidst the chaos. Her injuries were severe. Even with healing magic, she was on the verge of collapse, a testament to the overwhelming power of the enemy they faced. The healer looked into the darkness, feeling the desperation of the situation. They no longer had the strength to continue the fight alone, and that's when they saw. In the middle of the crater, a young man was standing calmly before the body of the monster that almost annihilated them. But the threat wasn't over yet. From the shadows, a new creature emerged, launching a deadly attack directly at Ning Feng. The blow came down with absurd speed, charged with murderous intent. It seemed like the end for the young man, caught completely by surprise. But, to the monster's surprise, its attack was useless. The creature couldn't understand how that was possible. Ning Feng simply raised his hand, and a system notification appeared. A new skill manifested, creating a barrier that blocked the attack effortlessly. The creature screamed in pain as its own power turned against it. Ning Feng's defense wasn't just passive, it was a deadly trap. The investigator arrived just in time to witness the scene, not believing what he was seeing. Meanwhile, Ning Feng fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the power he absorbed and the strange images that invaded his mind. The investigator arrived just in time to see the result. With a smile, Ning Feng simply said that the cleanup job would be up to him. To close the case quickly, the authorities presented a culprit, a man already in handcuffs who supposedly confessed to being the monster. The official story was that he found the creature in a secret realm and tried to control the power of darkness for himself, but ended up losing control of everything. With the threat resolved, the news spread. The city of Qinyu now had a new and mysterious protector, and everyone was excited about the news. The purple-haired woman, in particular, seemed intrigued by the emergence of this powerful and unknown figure. However, the conversation that followed left both her and her colleague completely shocked. The officer, oblivious to their reaction, continued to speak enthusiastically about the advantages of having such a powerful hero around. Meanwhile, Ning Feng was processing what had happened. The visions that overwhelmed him were actually fragments of memories from the realm lord he absorbed. He reflected that he had no intention of becoming a lord, so at first, those memories seemed completely useless to him. The officer, in turn, was already imagining the number of people who would try to flatter this new, mysterious figure to get some kind of favor. The purple-haired woman, however, began to think of another possibility. She wondered if this protector could be a veteran from Ning Feng. Back in his thoughts, Ning Feng continued to analyze the information he received. They were echoes of the life of an ancient and powerful being. That's when he had an idea. Although he didn't want the title, he realized that some of those memories could be extremely useful for his own plans. With a new plan in mind, he made a call. On the other end of the line, a familiar voice asked what good news he had to share. It was the woman who helped him. She called to congratulate him, as the system had just confirmed that his job change to Vanguard Shadow was a success. The woman who helped Ning Feng barely hung up the phone and was already on another call. She confirmed a dinner with a Miss Wang, showing that her life was a succession of important appointments. She was a figure of striking presence, resolving her affairs with a calmness and confidence that few possessed. Shortly after, at the academy, her arrival alongside an important man did not go unnoticed. Everyone watched as the two climbed the steps of the main building. The man accompanying her commented, impressed, on a young woman's achievement. Reaching the second transformation at that age was a truly remarkable feat. But his admiration soon turned into pure irritation. Something about the situation made him furious, completely changing the atmosphere of the place. The young Zhang Yue, who was nearby, felt the tension in the air. The man's reaction made her visibly worried about what might happen next. Far from all this intrigue, Ning Feng was in paradise. He had been invited to a banquet and could hardly believe the amount of food in front of him. With a grin from ear to ear, he declared that his great goal was simply to be able to eat all kinds of good food. For him, that was life. The woman who invited him thanked him for the emblem he had given her, explaining that it was a great help. Ning Feng just mumbled in agreement, more interested in his plate. That's when he stopped eating. His expression suddenly changed as he watched the woman more closely. He had noticed something strange. She advised him not to give up on getting stronger, because in dangerous times like these, having more skills. To prove her point, she recalled the pain of a previous mission. That wound was living proof that, without enough power, survival becomes just a matter of luck. Right in the middle of that serious matter, a call interrupted everything. His expression changed instantly, and she immediately wanted to know what was wrong. Her question hung in the air. Whatever he heard on that call, it was so absurd that it finally clicked. That was a secret she swore she had never told anyone, but somehow, he knew. The revelation left her completely speechless. Back to his routine, Ning Feng was enjoying a moment of tranquility, completely oblivious to what was about to happen, until a strange call broke the peace. On the other end of the line, an unknown voice threatened him, warning that there would be consequences if he dared to hang up. But Ning Feng didn't give a damn about the threat. Without thinking twice, he simply ended the call, treating everything as if it were just a prank call. But, to his surprise, the problem came knocking at his door. A stranger appeared, confirming that he was the person from the call and making it clear that he wasn't kidding. Even with the guy in front of him, Ning Feng's reaction was one of pure boredom. He didn't seem at all intimidated by the situation, which only irritated the visitor even more. The man reinforced his threat, reminding Ning Feng that hanging up on him was a grave mistake and that now he would have to face the consequences of his actions. With a superior tone, the stranger questioned if Ning Feng had never learned to respect those stronger than him. He was there to teach a lesson, but he had no idea who he had just provoked.